Guys, welcome back to the channel. As we said, this week is all about recaps and competitions that are coming, and we are nearly at the end of Africa's CAF's Women's U20 qualifications, which are about to be finished in May. Let's talk about what we know so far, guys. Welcome back to the channel. We do primarily Canadian African content. So if you like one of the two, make sure you leave a like, leave a comment. Who are you excited about? And let's get to it. As we said earlier, the U20 competition is nearly complete for the women in CAF. And if you are unfamiliar, for African qualifiers, especially on the women's side, it's a lot of home away aggregate winners. And so we just completed stage three. We're going to talk about what we've seen so far beforehand. And it's very simple. Teams will play each other home and away. The winner of on aggregate moves on to the next stage, and we go from there. There were teams that played and teams that weren't able to play, but we are excited to talk about what was able to come through. This started last year in May, where we had our first round of competitions. The first legs were the week of between the 9th and the 11th of May, and then the 16th to the 18th, 1 week apart roughly. The second leg was in September, and the third leg just completed a few days ago. First leg of the third round was the 6th to the 8th of February, and then the other leg was the 12th to the 14th. But let's talk about where we are in each bracket. CAF has 4 slots. So in the fourth round, the winner of those matchups will be headed down to the 2026 Women's World Cup in Poland in September. So right after World Cup finishes, you'll have the women's U20s, then you'll have the women's U17s, and then you'll have the men's U17s. And that's how every year feels like it's going to finish and run through. CAF with 4 slots there. So here are the matchups as we have. We have Cameroon, who will be facing Tanzania in their fourth round leg. Cameroon, who came off beating Botswana 5-1 on aggregate, 5-0 in the first matchup, and then falling 1-0 in the second. They'll be facing Tanzania, who got past Kenya 3-1 on aggregate. They had to go to penalties, and they won 3-1 on penalties in that sense. And they had gotten past Angola. They had gone past Angola beforehand, while Cameroon started off by getting past Niger 18-0, 9 love on each round. So that's your first matchup. Your second matchup is Ghana versus Uganda, which might come to a surprise. Uganda getting past Zambia 2-1 in aggregate in a late winner in their second match. We'll talk about that game in a little bit. Well, Ghana, another tight win over South Africa. I think if you are familiar with African football on the women's side, you see names like Zambia, you see names like South Africa, and there are sides who have good youth programs. So to see them falling and Ghana kind of retaking their place in Uganda, taking a leap, especially over Zambia, is a little bit surprising, but that speaks to the depth that's starting to build up in women's African football. In the third matchup, you are going to have Cote d'Ivoire versus Benin. Cote d'Ivoire got past DR Congo 2-1 on aggregate, while Benin were handily in charge over Egypt, winning 5-0 on aggregate coming there. And the final matchup, you have Nigeria coming up against Malawi. Nigeria were able to get past Senegal 3-1 on aggregate, while Malawi dispatch of Guinea-Bissau quite easily and quite handily moving forward. And you were happy for that. But as we look at the rounds, you see the games that would have happened. It's good to see. It's a point to scroll back up and talk about of the teams that simply never entered the competition. It's nice to see this number slowly falling. And yes, some teams never fielded U20s and didn't participate with the Cape Verde, Somalia, Sudan, and Seychelles. But it's nice to see more African teams starting to really invest into women's football. And that's what you want to see from those matchups. Because the more teams invest, the more opportunities, and you really are excited to see what that can come from. But you see the matchups as we come through. Once we get to the third round, as we said earlier, we saw the matchup, so we have our winners coming through. Cameroon again, dispatching of Botswana on both sides. Nothing too difficult for them. Tanzania getting past Kenya on penalties, just couldn't find penalties for the Kenyans. But hey, that's a good sign for a team coming through. Ghana versus South Africa was a fun back and forth. South Africa has a nice young keeper, which I know we'll be keeping an eye on as she gets through. But Mensa with the winner in the 63rd minute away, sealing the deal the for Ghana to move on to the fourth round. Uganda, as we said, getting early goal in their second matchup. Uganda Uganda and Zambia didn't host their games, so they had to play outside of the sames. We'd like to see, hopefully some peace and not much unrest, so we can see some more games hosted at home. Cote d'Ivoire getting past DR Congo. Those two goals in the first matchup surely made a difference. We talked about Benin getting past Egypt, and then Nigeria past Senegal, and then Malawi simply over Guinea Bissau. So those are your matchups. Those are the matchups that will be coming. Cameroon versus Tanzania, Ghana, Uganda, Cote d'Ivoire, Benin, and Nigeria, Malawi. That is your matchups for the U20s women's qualifiers for the World Cup happening later this year. Who do you like? Who has impressed you? Let me know in the comments. And as always, we'll stop talking right here.